Hey, yo, what it do, crew? It's your favorite Coloradan with a noggin, Elijah X, coming to you live from the humble abode. I'm sorry for starting a little late. If you see my live post, it said I was supposed to start at 7:12 p.m. But I was in a live stream with Commander Wolf from the U.S. Foundation. And for those who don't know what the U.S. Foundation is, it is a coming together of us patriots across the nation in all 50 states, supposedly 51. But we're all coming together and we were all forming, uh, a citizen compact to go against the ills of our nation. Instead of me strictly saying it to you, let me show you the treaty website so you can get a little better idea of what I'm referring to. So, the United Treaty, this is what we got going on here. The United Treaty and the tradition of the founding. This is the People's Treaty. It stands in the unbroken line of the Mayflower Compact of 1620, the Articles of Association of 1774, and the Declaration of Independence of 1776. Every one of those documents was written before any government existed to ratify it. Not one was legally binding on the day it was signed. Each was morally binding the moment ink met page. That is what made them permanent. Indeed, that is what made them ours. We are not filing paperwork with the State Department. We are not asking permission from any chamber, party, or palace. We are asking the American people to bind themselves to one another as our forebears did and to place that bond on a public ledger no faction can erase. We the people. So this right here is the treaty page, which you can visit. You know what? While I'm doing this, I'll toss this up on the screen. I'm still getting a little bit used to this ordeal when it comes to the streaming. But there you go. That's a treaty page. And let me also, while I have a moment and no one's necessarily uh, present, I'm gonna go ahead and reshare my live stream so everybody else can find me. But yeah, I would really love for you guys to join up. That would be super sweet. This is the US Foundation. Let's drop this page down and I'll try to kick it over to my Facebook really quick so we can check out the Facebook page. You probably will see me comment if anything because I literally was just there. Boom. Let's see, where are we at? US Foundation. They have a Colorado site as well. Boom. So this group, so it only says 2,600 members here, but on the treaty page, the day I signed it, there were only 3,000 signatures. As of our briefing that I just got out of, there are currently 8,000 signatures and counting. So this isn't just a small shot in the dark thing. This is people from all over our nation actively signing the treaty and coming together. We are scheduling briefings. They are getting the vertical architecture in place in different regions around the country. And many states already have active operations going. So if you would like, I don't know precisely who Cody is, I was just sitting on it. But yeah, if you would like, join the US Foundation here on this here page. I'll throw up the link for you right here. America needs heroes. We need you. Veterans, civilians, businesses, and agencies are working together through one coordination hub. Tell us what you do, what you're skilled at, and what you're willing to contribute. We'll connect your capabilities with the operation where they are needed most. Oh, that's pretty funny. I said I'd probably pop up, but they cut him off. They cut off our Commander Wolf mid prayer, and he was saying some amazing things. So ultimately, it's not solely for the religious; it's for the concerned citizen. And if you're not concerned at this point in time, I think you're truly, truly lost. But that's also why I'm doing this live stream here tonight, because these are two very loud voices in the media industry, one way or the other, and we can't ignore the fact that they are. So we're going to get their perspective on where things sit as is. And I'm going to hop in every once in a while, maybe pause the video here and there, or, just talk while they're talking if it's not like a very big chatty section, but I'll probably just pause it. But I'm not going to keep holding you guys up. So let's get this going. Oh, not this guy. I'm going to close that stage. And I have to do something really quick because I'm still getting used to this. There we go. Now, I got the vid set. We're going to get going on this real quick. Thank you for joining me. If you're still here or if you're watching at a later time, I appreciate it. And if I'm not going to get monetized by YouTube, I have a great disdain for Zionists, and I'm superbly anti-Israeli government propaganda, a whole bunch of things, and this is why I'm on the US Foundation in general. But if you would like to support my cause, you can always buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/pensivepet. That's buymeacoffee.com/pensivepet. All links that you have seen presently at the beginning of this video will be available in the description section of YouTube. So without further ado, we're going to pull up the fellas and we're going to get this conversation cracking. All right. Also, bing bong. Let's go.
It's been a long time coming. He's wanted me on his show. I wanted him on my show. And finally, I got him, which means I'm in danger because I owe him a guest appearance myself. But he's a former Fox News host, a prominent.
One thing I'd like to say real quick. I've always liked the light jabbing sparring nation between these two. I don't know if it's going to be readily noticeable in this interview because it's my first go through as well. I would assume so because that's their character with one another, and they're both big, boisterous personalities. So they'll probably bang off of each other. No homo. You get my deal.
Far-right pundit and once a staunch supporter of President Donald Trump, but no longer. Since leaving Fox News in 2023, he's launched an eponymous talk show and just recently announced his departure from the Republican Party. Please welcome for the first time the straight shooter with yours truly, the one and only Tucker Carlson.
Tucker
Carlson, how you doing, man? How's everything?
Well, I'm as far right as ever. Who writes this crap, far right? What is far right anyway?
Well, you tell me. You tell me. What would have been? What would have been?
I have no idea. It means Nazi.
What would have been the appropriate introduction for Tucker Carlson?
Cultivated, handsome, erudite, irresistibly appealing to women and men in a platonic way. Just stuff like that. Normal stuff.
So you really expect a dude to introduce you like this? Stop that! Well,
look, I'm making it clear that you're not attracted to me physically, but you see the appeal that others are so obviously taken by.
We'll go with that for now. Let's get right to it, Tucker Carlson. I mean, right. you spoken out. Once upon a time you supported the president. That is no longer the case. Not to be redundant, but remind our audience why you don't seem to be as supportive of President Trump as you once were.
Well, I supported him, not only supported him, I campaigned with him and for him and spoke at the Republican National Convention. I knew him for 20 years and I defended him at Fox, for my entire time there. And I got along with him really well until about 20 minutes ago, actually until February 28th, when he launched a regime change war on behalf of Israel, with Israel, on Iran, a war that every person who was paying attention knew could not be won and that would only damage the United States. And I told him that repeatedly before he did it. And it wasn't, from my perspective, just a mistake. It was like the end of an entire moment in world history where the United States, has enough power to influence events. That's all done, I think, because of this. And I think it's going to dramatically affect the standard of living in the United States and in Western Europe, which I care about. I think it's the most disastrous decision any American president has made in my lifetime.
There's
and
nothing to
comes
think
close.
about it already.
So, you know, it's not that I hate Trump as a person. I feel sorry for Trump. He wasn't able to make an independent decision. He's controlled by another country. But I disapprove of it, and I'm outraged on behalf of my country, which is the United States.
Well, Tucker, why does it have to be that he's controlled by another country? Why can't
it doesn't have to be that way. It shouldn't be that way. Let me explain. No president should ever be controlled by another country.
Just let me ask the question. Just let me ask the question.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be that, as opposed to he genuinely feels this way, and this is the decision that he made, and it's just something?
This is superiorly fucking stupid, and I'm assuming he's asking it just so he can see if Tucker has a detailed, you know, something or another in his back pocket. I'm assuming he has bullet points at the ready at this fucking point. There's plenty of reasons that Donald Trump is in the pocket of the Mossad, Israel, one of the two, all of them. Fucking, he's obviously not making these choices for himself. He can't even keep a MOU under wraps. Well, he can't even say the F word anymore about Bibi. He can't say anything. He hasn't said anything unless he's been slurping the cockage.
That you don't agree with, as opposed to him being controlled by another country.
Well, I would like that to be true. It's not true. And there are a lot of people demanding that I claim that's true, but I was there, and that's not true. It's a fact that he followed Israel into this war. He said it himself, and so did the Secretary of State. And there's this frantic effort by agents of Israel to rewrite history and make us forget what just happened in February, which was the United States following the lead of Israel into a war that gravely harms the United States. That's what happened. Trump was not for this. I talked to him a lot about it. He made no case to the American public demonstrating that he was for it. He said, well, I don't want Iran to have a nuclear program. Okay, that's fair, I guess. I don't really care, but he cared. And then in June, last June, he said he eliminated the nuclear program. And then 6 months later, he's like, we have to go to war. And we have to kill the leader of Shia Islam because of the nuclear. It didn't make any sense. He followed Israel into this. He did this under pressure from Israel. They chose when it started. They chose the parameters of the war. And critically, they were our partner in the war. Like, literally, we went into this war with Israel. I'm not saying that because I'm a bigot or an anti-Semite or a Nazi. I'm saying this because that's what the U.S. government told us. So,
which is really wild to even consider at the moment, because Bezalel Smotrich just said that Israel won't actively be fighting in the Iran conflict at all, or at least he's going to try not to make that the possibility. It's like, motherfuckers, you got us into this fucking war because our president's a dumb fuck. 60% of enriched uranium. People are like, yeah, the next 3 hours is going to make a fucking nuke. Dude, if they were going to make a nuke, they would have made a nuke before he even became president. It's just a stupid ass conversation. But, you know,
there has been this effort to lie about what just happened. And I've seen this a lot. I saw it with 9/11. I saw it with the Iraq War. And I'm just not going to play along again because I was there. I know what happened.
So my question would be this: he's the leader of the free world. Why does he need to follow anybody? Why is another country leading us
the fucking
as opposed to it being the other way around?
That's literally
How do you explain that?
Dude, you tell me. I don't have the answer. I said this to him directly. I said this to him during the 12-day war in last June, which Israel started. And we didn't benefit from it. Obviously, we went to war again. That was the beginning of the regime change war that they planned and wanted for their own reasons. It had nothing to do with our strategic goals or our interests at all. It only hurt the United States. It killed a bunch of Americans.
Facts.
It's going to drive us out of the region, destroyed all of our bases.
They're lying about the death toll.
It's a disaster. So I told him at the time, you are being led around by the nose by Netanyahu, and everyone can see it. And, he didn't like to hear that, but it was a fact. And it remains
What did he say to you when you told him?
Why is that?
When you said that to him, when you said those words that you just said, what did he say to you? What did you say to him? What did he say to you in response?
I think you know Trump, so you can picture the scene.
Yes.
Trump hates confrontation, direct confrontation, hates it, can't deal with it at all. He likes everyone to get along. He likes to tell jokes. And I like this about him. I'm not criticizing it at all. He said, oh, no, it's going to be totally fine. That's not true. And it's fine. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And then he had someone else call and say that he was offended by it, which I understand. I shouldn't have said that. I snapped. I was so frustrated. This is embarrassing. I'm an American. Whatever you think of this country, which has treated me very well, and my family's been here forever. I like America. I live here, my kids live here. This hurts America. And I don't like to see the United States humiliated because it's my country. And that's humiliating. Why are you taking orders from a country of 9 million people with no resources?
Facts.
And I'm not even attacking Israel. I'm attacking our leaders who today in the US Congress, right now, as we're talking, are voting to merge the US military with the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, the group committing genocide in the Middle East. Like,
and why would we be doing that? Why would we be merging with the IDF? What would be the reason?
It's totally bonkers. I'll tell you why we're not doing it is because like the overwhelming majority of Americans want it. They don't. Who would want that? What's the upside for us? We're doing it because Israel wants it, and Israel controls our politics through campaign donations, at least, and maybe there are other ways that it controls our politics. But there's no debate about it now. This is not an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. My whole life I've watched this. My whole life I've said nothing about it. And in a lot of ways, I was intimidated by the claim that anyone who notices is an anti-Semite. Well, I'm not an anti-Semite. I'm never going to be an anti-Semite. I abhor anti-Semitism and all forms of racism, no matter what they say. I'm not for it. So that's not my motive. My motive is it's true. And trying to bully me into saying it's not.
I would like to draw a certain distinction here. When we're criticizing Israel, we're not directly saying all Jews are this or all Jews are that. We're saying the government of Israel is committing a genocide, and all their Zionist shit is detrimental to the whole globe at large, writ large. So just like when guys are talking about girls and they say all women and then girls jump down their throat, we ain't all like that, we ain't all like that. It's the same principle in reverse. You know what I mean? We're not talking about all Jews in history, not every single one of them. There's good people, there's bad people. It's like I love to say to my peeps, evil is evil no matter the skin it resides in.
Not true is not going to work. Why is it happening? I don't know. And I've said this a million times in public, and I really think we need a national conversation about why the president of the United States not just hurt his country, but hurt himself and his legacy and his party and everything that he worked all these years to build, trying to stay out of prison and almost murdered by a gunman in Butler, all the drama that he went through, all thrown away because now he's the president that led us into a war that we cannot win. We cannot win the war. And by the way, if we can win the war, tell me how. Is there a military means by which we open the Strait of Hormuz? No. And if there was, we would have used it.
What about the notion that you're keeping Iran from capturing a nuclear weapon? That would be their argument. That's what they would say. That's what he's been saying. That's what his supporters have been saying. Iran, remember, he told us, you're absolutely right. Initially, they bombed them last June, and they talked about we've obliterated them, we're good. And then a few months later, he bombs them again because supposedly they're a month away from having a nuclear weapon, and we have to stop that at all costs. Even now, they'll say you don't want Iran to capture a nuclear weapon. There's plenty of conservatives walking around throughout the country that don't know things nearly as intimately as you do.
And that's the excuse everything else was.
We've got to keep Iran from capturing a nuclear weapon. That's why Trump is doing what he's doing. What do you say to that?
I mean, it's sad and insulting, and no one who thinks about it for more than 3 minutes believes it. If there was ever a time when Iran has to get a nuclear weapon, it's now, because we've just proved what happens when you don't have a nuclear weapon. When you have a nuclear weapon and you're North Korea, a Stalinist slave state, we leave you alone. No one's arguing for an invasion of North Korea on the basis of human rights. You know, they're mean to their people. They throw them in concentration camps. They don't have free speech. They don't have democracy. We need to invade. No one's saying that because North Korea, unlike Iran, has nuclear weapons. So you can't be messed with when you have nuclear weapons. So what's the incentive for every nation on the freaking planet is to get nuclear weapons as soon as possible, or else get regime change by the United States.
Fact.
Nuclear weapons means other countries have to respect you. Therefore, we have just set in motion an irresistible incentive.
Nuclear weapons are, at this point in time of 2026, even though they haven't been utilized to our knowledge, they are a means for deterrence, no matter what. Otherwise, America's going to find out where your oil reserves at, and we jumping in that tank as fast as possible.
Incentive to get nuclear weapons, and Iran will have them at some point. They'll buy them from Pakistan, which is what North Korea did, or they'll create them on their own. They have the technological know-how, obviously. But once you kill the 87-year-old religious leader of their religion, once you murder the Shiite Pope, which we did, you ensure that there is a generational conflict that our grandkids are going to have to deal with. We haven't had a lot of terror attacks in the United States, despite what the liars tell you. We haven't. We're separated by an ocean. We've done a pretty good job of not having those. We're going to have them now. And they are a result of what the Trump administration just did at the behest of Israel. So this doesn't make us safer. And anyone who thinks it does, I feel sorry for. You've lost your capacity for thinking independently. Mm-hmm. But any normal person of any party is like, wait, how does this make us safer? No, this imperils us. It impoverishes us. It diminishes our power, makes us more vulnerable, obviously. And I said this to Trump, and he didn't disagree, but he did it anyway.
He didn't disagree, but he did it anyway. You know,
yes,
I'm going to get back to that. I'm going to get back to the Islamic contingent about it, but I want to go back to the Jewish contingent in this regard. I want to, because you made it a point to point out you don't engage in anti-Semitism, you don't support it, you don't believe it, you don't believe you're a part of it, et cetera, et cetera. When people talk about some of the things that you said, I wanted some controversial comments that you made in regards to the Gaza war. Right. You called Israel's actions genocide, ethnic cleansing, murder of thousands of children, and a land grab. You described it as losing morality, treating Arabs, quote, like animals or subhumans, end quote, and incompatible with Western civilization values. You visited Gaza refugees and highlighted child casualties. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, by the way. But I would ask you—
No, that sounds like Nazi behavior, like worrying about children who are injured.
No,
I mean,
exactly.
First of all, everything you just
people say that, I say, what are y'all talking about? I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, I apologize. Go ahead.
It's a slander. Look, if you're committing genocide, which Israel currently is in Gaza, and genocide is, we have an international definition of it, which everyone signed on to up until about 20 minutes, until Israel started committing it. And it is the systematic effort by a government to eliminate a people.
You know what's really crazy is that I read a post earlier that said Marco Rubio promised to Bibi Netanyahu that he was going to demolish the ICC brick by brick. Now contemplate that. Isn't the ICC the one who put, the arrest warrant out on Bibi Netanyahu? I mean, fuck, there's so many countries that have a immediate on-site arrest for this man. And Marco Rubio, who, don't get it twisted, is certainly going to try to run for presidency, whether it be in 2028 or 2032. He'll try it. But he's going to dismantle the one body that can charge Israel for its war crimes, Bibi Netanyahu specifically. Think about it.
And I don't have to guess about this because Israeli cabinet ministers and the prime minister of Israel repeatedly have said that's their goal. They describe the Palestinians as Amalek. I'll refer you to the Old Testament or Hebrew scriptures, whatever you want to call it, our Bible and theirs, in which Amalek is the Amalekites. And that's the group that God tells the ancient Hebrews to kill, all of them, including their children, their babies, and their livestock. And the prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has used this phrase multiple times, not just randomly once, again and again and again in speeches. And so have his cabinet ministers, the finance minister, the defense minister. Mm-hmm. They've all said the point is we have to kill all these people and drive them out. Well, that is the definition of genocide. Don't take my word for it. Israeli human rights groups are calling it genocide. The rest of the world is calling it genocide. Mm-hmm. The prime minister has been indicted in international court for genocide. There's no debate about whether it's genocide. The debate is, why are we going along with this and allowing people who are committing genocide to give us moral lectures? Like, I'm not the criminal for noticing what you're doing. And I'm not going to take a moral lecture from Adolf Eichmann. Why would I? This is crazy. And by the way, future generations will realize that it's crazy. So crazy, it's going to be hard to believe it happened.
So how would you answer the question if somebody would have asked Tucker Carlson, is your issue with the Jewish community? Is it with Israel? Is it specifically with Benjamin Netanyahu?
Ignorant question.
Who's the issue with? Because that's somebody that you've described as
it's not a mystery. I've said it out loud. By the way, I hate even to go there because it's so low. It's playing their game, but it's also a fact that I have a lot of Jewish friends and Jewish guests on the show making exactly the same points. The idea that the government of Benjamin Netanyahu speaks for all Jews on planet Earth is a lie. It's a lie that's going to do grave damage to Jews. I don't know why people go along with this.
I hinted at that
some
earlier.
Lunatic stood up, some lunatic white person said, I speak for all whites, I would say, you don't speak for me. If Louis Farrakhan stands up and says, I speak for all black people, I hope you're like, no, not for me. Like, this idea that some politician in a foreign country gets to speak for global Jewry is insane. I'm not playing along with it. But here's the point. They are committing genocide. The lessons that I learned I'm 57, as a child growing up in America were really clear. Genocide is always wrong. The Nazis did it. That's why we don't like the Nazis. The Hutus in Rwanda did it. I mean, the Turks did it. The Ottoman Turks did it against the Armenians. It's always wrong. And the person committing genocide doesn't get to attack me on moral grounds for pointing it out. This is crazy. And everyone else sees it. Only in the United States are we like, well, are you an anti-Semite because you don't like genocide? No, I'm a human being. I'm against it when it was aimed at Jews. I'm against it when Bibi Netanyahu does it. I'm against it when the Hutus do it. I'm just against it because it's immoral. And if we can't say that genocide's immoral, where does that leave us? And why are we paying for this? That's the other thing. It's not just some academic, like, are you for genocide? Well, obviously I'm opposed. I'm opposed to killing innocents, always, including bombing girls' schools in Iran.
As most decent people should be against killing innocents. Without
all
question.
Decent people. But
that's right.
If you're doing that, again, I'm not taking a moral lecture from someone who's committing genocide, and none of us.
I don't know where Tucker or Stephen A. Smith is going to really go with any of this right now, because how can you be aggressively pursuing and you're questioning when Tucker's just being completely and factually honest, and his stance is literally the moral high ground? You can't sweep the feet from out of somebody who's fucking levitating, bro. Like, what is Steven gonna do here? What is he even gonna do? He looks perplexed. He looks thoroughly flummoxed, if you feel me. Like, he's like, damn, I done fucked up.
And through aggression and intimidation, they've scared the living crap out of everyone in the American media, apparently including you, into this place where
apparently including me. Why is it including me?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because the fact you're asking it when the facts about what the Israeli government have done in Gaza are transparent, widely known, provable. You can use only Israeli sources for those facts and still arrive at the same conclusion Israelis have arrived at.
Tucker Carlson,
it's genocide.
Let me put you on pause for 1 second when it comes to me, sir. Most people in my audience may not have heard what you had to say. I want them to hear from you. So I'm just asking. Oh, no, nobody's got me hoodwinked. I'm literally asking because I literally want to hear. Like, there's several things that you may have brought up that I may not have heard. I may be hearing you say for the first time because I don't get a chance to watch you all the time. That's all it is. But I want you to know that.
Crazy. No, but it's not just me. I mean, by the way, I should say, I spent like 35 years never saying anything about Israel, okay? So it's not like I'm some courageous voice who's bringing this to the world's attention. This has been going on for a very long time, since 1948, to varying degrees. And for the last 3 years, it's been going on at a pace that's impossible to ignore. And only in the United States, I just want to say it again, only in the United States and Israel is this not a majority view widely known by everybody. They've killed tens of thousands of children. They have killed scores of journalists, over 100 journalists. They bombed churches and hospitals. They bombed and destroyed all civilian infrastructure, and they're driving people out, and they're saying it. They're saying it out loud. What? And because of YouTube, we can actually watch this now. And it's like, oh, there's an Israeli official saying we're going to put them in concentration camps. And it's like, the United States could stop this. It's the only country on the planet that could stop it because we're paying for it. And I'm not even mad at the Israelis. I think they've gone insane. I think they will be punished for what they're doing in the same way the Germans were punished for what they did. In exactly the same way. Because
are you talking about the government or are you talking about the people? Are you talking about the government or are you talking about the people?
I'm talking about, I'll be specific. I'm talking about the government ministers who ordered this. I'm talking about the people who carried it out, the good Israelis who are committing genocide. And in some sense, they're victims as well. And I feel sorry for all of them because you can't lie your way out of 75,000 dead bodies. Okay, you just can't. There's no getting around that. You did it. Everyone saw you do it. So they're going to be punished.
Hey,
I'm
thanks for joining in, y'all. American officials
Feel free to comment for this and for attacking anybody who says, wait a second, why are we paying for genocide? I thought we were against genocide. We have got a Holocaust museum in my town that says genocide is bad. Is it not bad now? And they're like, shut up.
See, that's my thing, bro. Like, all this shit is right on the nose, the big ass nose of Israel. And it's so obvious. Everybody's been talking about the Holocaust my whole fucking life and how awful it is. Yet we're witnessing and watching this shit in real time. Literally people shooting videos within the same hour and sending them over to us. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, it's not that bad. We just need to get it over quick. Man, you're out of your fucking mind.
up, Nazi. And it's like, no, I'm against the Nazis because I'm against genocide. But here you're committing it, so I'm against what you're doing. This is it doesn't.
Is this about just Trump, or is it about specific individuals within his administration that has an alarming level of influence that we need to know about as well?
All of them.
So that's like a question I've thought so much about. In other words, who was pushing Trump to do something insane?
There you go.
Right. And, obviously Rubio, the Secretary of State, is for it, obviously.
Just mentioned it.
I don't think he was pushing that. I mean, I don't work there, so I was there a lot, but I'm certainly not an employee and never have been. So there's a lot I miss. I can't really answer the question, but my sense is that no one inside the White House was like, pushing Trump's arm behind his back and saying, you've got to regime change Iran. I think it came from the outside. I think it came from outside advisors and donors. Miriam Adelson, the widow of Sheldon Adelson, the gambling magnate. I think it came from Rupert Murdoch, the owner of Fox and the Wall Street Journal and New York Post, who called all the time demanding this. I think it was people outside. That's what I think. And I think there might also be other reasons.
There's
that he
nothing
did this.
to
Joe
think,
Kent,
bro.
who ran the National Counterterrorism Center, said out loud when he resigned, and he would know, that he believed the Butler shooting was connected to Trump's move against Iran. Now, look, I can't prove that, but here's one of our top.
What's wild about the Butler shooting is how little we know. Donald Trump has been, informed and debriefed about the whole situation. They swept that shit right under the cover. You ask Eric Trump Jr. or Donald Trump Jr., whatever the fuck their names is, and they say, well, my father, he just went through it and he doesn't really want to talk about it. It's like a word from the most transparent fucking administration in the world. You don't want to talk about an assassination attempt. And then they got Benny Johnson's Fruit Loop ass there the very next morning, laying in the blood of this Thomas Crooks or whatever his name is, and then they spray all of the fucking blood off of the roof before there's any forensic evidence taken.
Top intel officials making that claim. Where's the New York Times following up on that? Not one American news organization has made any attempt to find out what the hell this was, because they all support it. They all support it. They support this war. And that's why there has been no mass movement against it. People are like, oh, I'm against the war. Really? Well, where are the protests? I remember the Iraq war. I was there, both in Washington and Iraq. There were massive protests. Now, at the time, I was shilling for the for the Bush administration. Be like, no, it's a good idea to invade Iraq. I was completely wrong. And I've been humiliated ever since. But I did notice that the other side had demonstrations. Where are those demonstrations now? There are none, because both parties are in favor of this. That's why.
Do you believe that this has been an impeachable offense by the president of the United States? And if so, what do you believe should happen to him in regards to these actions that he has taken?
I disappeared.
I think this is the one thing that Trump has done that he will never be impeached for, because Democrats support it. Both parties supported regime change in Iran because both parties have the same paymasters and the same donors who are demanding loyalty to a foreign country. The same AIPAC donations that like 90% of the entire Congress takes money from a foreign lobby, unregistered foreign lobby. That's bonkers. If this were Liechtenstein or Congo bribing 90% of our lawmakers to toe the Liechtenstein or Congo line, I'd be totally opposed to it.
If that shit isn't obvious by now and you haven't heard of NDAA Section 219 and the integration of our military with the IDF, you are thoroughly still asleep.
Doesn't make me anti-Congolese or anti-Liechtensteinian. I'm not a racist for thinking that. I'm an American who wants my lawmakers to vote on behalf of my country. Like, it's that simple. It's literally that simple. And everybody sees it, except the American media, which lies because it's controlled, and American lawmakers, politicians, who are paid to lie. But like, now the consequences of it are getting so crazy. We're running out of oil. Trump said that last month. We're weeks away from draining the SPR. We have no cushion on oil. And so at some point, they're manipulating markets now. Obviously, the markets are totally manipulated, but at some point, supply and demand does become real. And if you don't have enough oil, the price goes up. And when the price goes up, so does the price of everything. And you get inflation, and people get really poor. And that's going to happen.
Y'all ready for them $10 gas?
Carlson right
prices?
Here with Stephen A, straight shooter with yours truly. I'm wondering right now, your life. I mean, you've stated, correct me if I'm wrong, that you voted Republican.
Just out of curiosity, has your gas price fluctuated much within the past month? If you're in the same state, yeah, I probably already know the answer to that. But has your gas prices changed anything that actually is meaningful to you comment in the comment section.
Your life, that you've disassociated, disconnected from the Republican Party, but it's not like you're about to vote for the Democrats either. I'm wondering how you feel right now as somebody who's confessed to being so wrong about the president, and more specifically, what I'm really wondering about with what Trump is doing. That's not something Obama did. It's not something that George W. Bush did.
This is a
I'm
dishonest
wondering.
question.
This president decided to take this action. Where are you now in terms of viewing him compared to the Democrats, in light of the fact this is not something that they've done?
Motherfucker is a
Democrat.
Uniparty.
Well, it's something to some extent all American presidents have done since John F. Kennedy was murdered, which is follow the lead of a foreign country, Israel. So George W. Bush did do it. He took us into a regime change war against Iraq at the urging of Benjamin Netanyahu. I was there. So that's why we did that.
Very expensive.
Joe Biden funded the genocide of
like
Gaza.
$6?
And by the way, there, to his credit, there were a lot of people in the Democratic Party who were very mad about that and attacked Biden for that. Good for them. I didn't say a word. I was kind of not even aware it was happening, but that was happening, and they deserve credit for being honest and decent enough to oppose genocide. So every president has been bossed around by this tiny country. Bill Clinton got blackmailed by Israel over Monica Lewinsky. They had a tape of him having phone sex on Air Force One with Monica Lewinsky.
The really crazy part about this whole Israel conversation is how fucking small it is. It's the size of New Jersey. Charlie Kirk said it takes 45 minutes to cross it in a helicopter. Why the fuck is the United States of America being boss hogged? Hi, puppy. Boss hogged by this place, dude.
And they told him they had it and said they were going to release it unless he took their side in the Wye River negotiation. So like, this has been going on a long time, but Trump just did something that's like quantum levels crazier and more destructive to the US, which is this war. How do you get out of this war? I don't see, and no one I know, including people who work at the White House and at the Pentagon, if you ask that question, like, how do we get out of this? They have no idea. So I'm really worried about it. I know I'm hated and called a Nazi for being against it, but
they don't have
it's
an
bad
idea
enough that it's worth it to say.
They don't want to get out.
Tucker Carlson, in 2021, you probably wrote that you hated Trump passionately. You later supported him in 2024. So here's the question. Why should listeners see this latest break as principle rather than another pivot on your side, on your part? How do you answer that?
Well, I've had many pivots, and I've already explained two of them. I was wrong.
Yes, you have.
Because I'm wrong a lot, I guess. I mean,
Bro, it's human nature. We cannot be perfect all the time, bro. Things change, people change, circumstances change, events fluctuate. It's a dumbass question. Stephen A is fucking lacking, and he's kind of annoying.
I flatter myself and say I'm not wrong a lot, but I certainly am wrong sometimes, and wrong on big things. I was wrong on Trump, and I was wrong on the Iraq War, and I'm sure a million other things. But anyway, I mean, I don't know what to say. People can judge whether I'm sincere or not. I don't really know what I'm getting out of this, actually. I've gotten really nothing out of any of it, and I'm not going to whine and say I've lost a lot, but some, including friendships. So I don't really know what my motive would be, but if I can't convince people, I can't. But I'm just telling you, I happened to be there and pretty close and saw a lot of stuff that is like so bad for this country. It's such a total betrayal. Now, I would just say quickly that, yeah, I got mad at Trump in a private text message, which Fox stole from me and sent to the New York Times. Like, that's a whole nother story, kind of crazy. But I wrote that to one of my producers because Trump had made me mad in 2001, right after the election. Okay, I get, I've been mad at people I love. But I decided that Trump was the option to the Republican leadership and the Democratic leadership. He wasn't a Republican. He was a challenge to the Republicans. He came from outside the system. This was how I thought of it. And as they tried to put him in jail and shoot him and all this stuff, I was
hindsight is 2020. But looking back on it, to perceive Trump as somebody who is an outsider when his wealth is so fucking magnanimous, it kind of was really stupid on all of our parts. But what the fuck were we gonna do, right? What were we gonna do? Allow the lady who spent a $20 million campaign into a fucking $2 million deficit run it? Like, the shit that was happening was terrible. But this is why the US Foundation exists. We're gonna nix this shit from the base and build all the way back up.
See, it's totally real. It's not a fake thing. I mean, they're trying to put him in jail. That's what I thought. And I still kind of think that. But somewhere along the line, after that Butler shooting in Pennsylvania in July of 2024, he changed like 180 degrees and started doing things that he ran against doing. And so, like, you tell me what that is. I don't know. I don't think Trump's a great actor. I don't think he was lying before. I think something changed him.
It's the
something
hair.
changed for him after the Butler shooting. You just think it's just
so.
that simple. You don't have
I don't know
idea
if it's
what
that
it is.
simple.
Okay, but you have
I
no
don't
idea
know
what
if anything's simple. Well, let me tell you what I do know. No, I don't. Just to be clear, I don't know. And if I did, I would say it instantly. I know that Trump shut down the investigation into the Butler shooting. It doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of material that the FBI gathered into Thomas Crooks, who he was talking to on his burner phone, who he was talking to online, who he trained with at the range. They have tape of that. They've not released any of it. And I pushed them really hard. The FBI director, the deputy director, the guy in charge of the investigation, I talked to them all.
Patel.
Why can't we see this information? And they wouldn't answer the question. Turns out Trump told them not to release it, to shut down the investigation. He's a lone gunman. He's dead. We don't need to know anymore. Okay, then why can't I see the information that you gathered? Did he have contact with law enforcement before the shooting?
Yes.
Why can't you answer that question? And instead they yelled at me and called me names. The Trump people did. And I was like, if that's your response, then I think, like, I've got a bunch of kids. And if I say, hey, what are you doing? And they're like, shut up, racist. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're doing something wrong then, if you're attacking me for asking. Like, it's just a tell. And so that's all I know. But I can't think of a non-sinister reason for Trump to shut down an investigation into his own attempted murder. Maybe you can, but I can't. I think it's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my life. And
a lot of folks speculate that shit was staged, and I can't say that I don't. You guys should look into Candace's deep dive into that portion in terms of Corey Compertor, whose late wife just came out maybe last week or so saying she think that there was some kind of internal involvement in her husband being taken out. And his connections are actually very surprising. Maybe I'll update a video with that following this after a couple days.
I know that at that moment, he started assembling, right after that, he started assembling his transition team. And I was really close to that. I knew everyone on it. And all of a sudden, these people are like, wait a second, with this guy, why would we appoint John Ratcliffe to CIA when he's the opposite of what you're running on? Like, John Ratcliffe is the opposite of what you're promising voters. Why would you do that? And I noticed this stuff and I was like, this is very odd. But I didn't kind of put it together because I'm not a genius. And then by the time we got to Iran, I was like, oh, wait a second. I think this whole thing's been in progress for a long time. And the point is not to eliminate Iran's nuclear program. Nobody cares. The point is to reshuffle the deck globally and to diminish the Gulf states, to get the United States out of the Middle East, I think to end the petrodollar, to crush Europe. Like, there are big things going on. And the rest of us are so caught up in whatever BS crap the media is putting on here, we don't see it. But I'm just telling you, in 5 years, it's going to be a different world. I hope a better world, but it's going to be a different world.
You've got a lot of people connected with Israel. You got a lot of people who are, who look at Benjamin Netanyahu and let's just say they don't view him the way that you do. They point to your relationships in the Middle East. They talk about Qatar. They talk about you having a home in Doha, stuff like that. Talk about that for a second, whatever level of the legitimacy may come attached to those who are
I hate defending myself. It's just, these are people who are taking money and direction from a foreign government accusing me of the same. And the truth is, I don't have a home in Doha. I don't own anything in Doha. I've never taken money from the Qataris or any other government. I don't even have a bank loan. I have no investors. I have no debt. My opinions, you may not like them, but they're mine because I have no control over me at all. And I own my company with my college roommate. So that's the extent of my financial life. Whatever. But you know what? I would say this. Qatar, I love Qatar. I really like Qatar. And the Israelis like Qatar too, which is why Benjamin Netanyahu asked the Qatari government to send money to Hamas.
I like that, actually. He is very superbly right about that. But did we not accept a Qatari plane to be used in lieu of our new Air Force One plane being built by Boeing? Is that not a thing? The one with the golden skulls in the middle by the, eating area in the middle of the plane. Is that not real, or am I just tripping?
I'm not guessing. You can look it up. So it was actually Netanyahu who asked Qatar to send money to Hamas. Now they're like attacking the Qataris for being a tool of Hamas. The whole thing is so dishonest, I can't deal with it. But even if I were like being bribed by Qatar to, I don't know what Qatar bribes people to do, even if that were true, you'd still have to contend with like, well, I don't know, is what he's saying true? Is the Iran war going well? Is it in America's interest? Did the administration say we're following Israel? They did. Is genocide being committed in Gaza? Of course, objectively. The numbers are there. Go on Wikipedia. And so it's like, it doesn't even matter. Yeah, they attack me as a person. I'm a bad person. I'm a Nazi. Okay, well, I'm not at all. But even if I were, it wouldn't change the fact that you're committing genocide and this war is hurting my country. Like, right?
So since the country is so hurt and we've got a two-party, a binary system, Democrats, Republicans, you are not for either side. Obviously, you've been talking about a third party, but your thoughts about that at this particular moment in time, is that even remotely plausible? And if so, I mean, where do we go from here, Tucker Carlson, based on everything you're telling us about the state of this country right now and how both parties are a bit shady, to say the least? Where do we go from here?
Well, it's not even that they're totally shady, of course, but they're in agreement on the big issues. And the big issues, just to restate, are the economy and foreign policy. That's where all the money is spent. How do we apportion the spoils in our system? Like, who gets rich in America? That's the economy. And foreign policy is, who do we bomb? Where do we send money? We have a military that consumes like 80% of our discretionary budget. Okay, it's $1.5 trillion a year in funding. So what we do with the military really, really matters. The trans stuff, I think it's meaningful. It's crazy, but that's not the pressing issue. The parties disagree on trans. Ooh, I'm for trans, you're against trans. Okay, great. But on the big questions, they're aligned. They are on the same page. Chuck Schumer agrees with Donald Trump and Trump with Schumer on the tax code. Whatever they say, they agree on the tax code and they agree on the Iran war. So all I'm saying is it'd be nice to have an option. Like, someone should have a party for like the rest of us, because most Americans don't agree with the tax code and don't agree with the Iran war. So where's their representation? Now, what am I going to do about it? I was waiting for you to run. So a lot of us are just kind of sitting here being like, where's Stephen A? Is he getting in the race? But if you don't get in,
grease this nigga's
it's like there should be a real option, because otherwise it's not democracy. It's an oligarchy posing, like painted. It's actually like a trans oligarchy. It's like an oligarchy pretending, no, I'm a democracy. It's got like big red lipstick misapplied and a wig. It's like, it's too fake. I can't deal with it.
So let's play the game, Tucker Carlson. If not me, somebody else, or me. If I'm running for president or somebody like me is running for president, what does Tucker Carlson want from the candidate himself that could end up in the presidency? What would you want from us that you haven't gotten from either party?
I'd want what everyone wants from his or her leaders, what kids want from their dads, what employees want from their bosses, what soldiers want from officers, which is love, concern. That's it. I mean, a lot of these problems are complicated, but you're never going to fix them unless you begin with a desire to help and uplift the people you're in charge of. It's that simple. And if you're having wars with Iran or letting 100,000 Americans die of drug ODs and doing nothing about the drug cartels, it's pretty obvious you don't care about Americans. And so there are lots of potential solutions to these problems, and I'm happy to debate them. But we can't even get there until we get leaders who sincerely care about their people. And we don't have that. It's obvious. It couldn't be more obvious. Oh, we're going to let the Epstein files become public. No, we're not. Shut up. Stop asking. Shut up, conspiracy theorist. It's like, what? You obviously hate me. You have contempt for me. And they do. And I would know, since I spent my life around them. I'm just talking about Trump. I mean, our leadership class. So we can't have that. We need people who have a sincere love, not of the country, but of the people who live in the country, the citizenry, the Americans. And we don't have that. And so that's really the first thing I'm looking for. It's not some magic. How do you fix Social Security? I don't even know. I don't know. It's too complicated. How do you fix schools? I have some ideas, but no one is even trying. Education in America is a freaking joke. Like, it's a joke. You can't send your kids to a public school in a big city or even in a small city. They're terrible. And only people have.
This is everything that we talk about and that we get briefed on at the US Foundation. All the like-minded citizens who want to improve the country, that's what we're here for. Visit this facebook.com/group/US Found and find your people.
No choice to do it. Is there an effort to fix that? No, none. Zero. So like, All I want is to see that someone cares. And most people I know feel that way. Like they're sort of post ideology. I don't know the right answer, but I know you don't care at all about finding it. And so up yours, get out of here, leave. That's how I feel.
Listen, I can't deny what you're saying, but the flip side to it is that you're simplifying it. One would easily argue, you know, when people have heard you talk in the past, whether it's about immigration, whether it's about race, it's about demographics in this country or whatever, they may not share your point of view. A matter of fact, some people may be put off by some of the things they may have that have been put out there about you. But again, we don't know how accurate it is. I guess what I'm asking you is, when you think about this country, what's your ideal of a perfect America? Because a lot of times, I got to tell you, I'm not going to say you, because I haven't seen much of you, even though I used to try to watch you on Fox News a lot more than I see you right now on YouTube and stuff like that. I'm just a busy guy talking. What can I say? But I when people talk about you, they feel listen, nationalist point of view, America first, last, and only, for the most part, until the latest stuff with Israel has come about. And there's a lot of folks demographically in this country that wonder whether or not you vibe and your thinking, your vision for this country vibes with what they would like for this country. Talk about that for a second here.
I would say nationalist, America first. I mean, there's literally no other acceptable way to run a country. So if I've got kids and I'm like, I like the neighbor's kids more than my own, I'm a bad father. Okay.
That's a great analogy.
So the only justifiable position in a democracy is put the country first. Like, what's the point? Who owns the country? Well, its citizens own the country. Therefore, this whole enterprise, this whole thing is being done on their behalf. So if I don't put my own country first or put another country first, by definition, I'm committing treason, which they are. So it's not about Israel. It can't, once again, it could be Uruguay. It doesn't matter. You have to protect your people. Nobody disagrees with that, by the way. As for the race stuff, there has been this concerted effort to convince non-whites that whites are the problem. Whites are bad. Whiteness is bad. We hate whites. And to foment hatred between the races. Now, why have they tried to do that? Why would you ever do that? Which they have definitely done at, you know, kind of scale for 60 years. Well, because when you're busy hating your neighbor on the basis of his race, they're busy looting your country, which they have done.
All isms are intended for division. Don't forget it.
So it's a diversion tactic. And the truth is, if you say what I just said to the majority of Americans of any color, they're like, well, of course that's right. Like, what's the purpose of having a government if it's not there to help you? Like, what? Then why do we have it? It's to help Bibi? Like, what are you even talking about? Of course you're a nationalist. Of course you're an America first and only. Doesn't mean you hate other countries. Like, I'm not for bombing other countries most of the time, unless they're bombing us. So like, I'm not against other countries. And by the way, I've been to almost every country on the planet and I like them all. So it's not that. It's like, why do you have a government? It's to look out for you and your interests. That's why you pay taxes. This whole conversation is like bonkers, but the race stuff is the most upsetting. And what you see when you really drill down, because it divides people permanently. The Democratic Party has spent 60 years telling non-white voters that.
Why is race such a bad thing to be mad about? Why is that an issue, Tucker? Go eat a Kool-Aid pineapple and fuck off.
Whites are the problem, and that whites hate them because they're not white. That's a freaking lie, dude. That's a lie.
Okay, but what about,
and a lot of black people believe it?
But Tucker, as a black man, what about from an historical perspective, looking at slavery, looking at Jim Crow laws, looking at the iniquitous acts of a white populace that existed in this country, and simply acknowledging, look, that happened, that existed, and we could never come close to letting something like that.
This is some ignorant fucking coon shit. They've definitely acknowledged it. There's a whole Black History Month. People talk about it. The fucking hood talks about it like it's the Holocaust and shit. Dude, there's a whole war for fall. What is Stephen A. Smith's a fucking idiot. Thankfully, I hope he doesn't run and
that happening again, policy or otherwise. What's wrong with doing that?
Well, it is happening again.
No. What I mean is it divisive? Is it
what
divisive?
Yeah. Jim Crow is happening again at a larger scale.
Yes, it is.
We have more racial quotas now against whites than we ever had against blacks in the South.
Look at him. He's about to
in federal contracting and college admissions and hiring in private companies and public companies. It's like, how about the government treats everybody the same? That's the lesson of the civil rights movement. Let's treat everyone the same.
Stay right there. What if I said to you, Tucker, you got a 50-yard head start? And guess what? You've been operating at a 50-yard head start for a lengthy period of time. And in order to equal the playing field, I've got to get a head start to be able to catch up to you. Because essentially, that's what you have a black populace or a minority populace in this country articulating to some degree anyway. I understand your point.
I have the numbers on that. So
two wrongs don't make a right.
Right. Okay.
I'm saying two wrongs don't make a right. I get that part. But if you're talking about, see, there's a lot of folks within this country that are of that mindset, and I respectfully disagree. But the key word is respectfully, because I understand where you're coming from. I'm just simply saying, if you've been operating as a society,
and who the fuck does he expect to get y'all that extra 50 yards? The elites? They take money from us. They're not going to give it back to you, you stupid ass dude. He's such a fucking poser. Stephen A is such a dork.
As a community with a head start for a lengthy period of time, how is the playing field ever supposed to be equaled if we were never given a come up? I mean, at some point in time, that premise has to be addressed.
Black people around. He's one of them.
I mean, look, I would say I think it's really important to articulate why racial discrimination is bad. And because it's bad, it's always bad, no matter who commits it, period. Period. It's inherently bad to judge people and to punish people on the basis of their skin color. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Oh, you do agree with
what
that?
I'm saying.
Okay, then you
I totally agree.
Well, then we're done.
I'm not disagreeing. No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm simply pointing out that, again, if the objective is to have a fair and equitable society for all, how is that supposed to be accomplished if folks are operating from behind the 8 ball because of years of laws, policies and things that subjugated the community in this country? How is that supposed to happen?
I think that people whose ancestors were dragged here against their will in slavery are at a disadvantage. However, I think it's a lot more complicated than you're saying. I think
there's no excuse. We have all the resources, all the avenues, all this, that, and the third to do better. You don't have to relegate yourself to being a jungle monkey, bro. People do that shit on their own. Tucker doesn't fucking make you the way you are. The white man didn't make you the way you are. You are the way you are because you can't handle yourself. Most people are just a piece of shit, no matter what color they are. But now you got whole swaths of the freaking quote unquote community acting like straight up fucking disenfranchised, highly. I'm not even
think that does hurt people generationally. Clearly it does. However, the idea that it's all whites are racist, then you tell me why whites, and you can check the Department of Labor stats on this if you want, they're on the internet. Whites are like, I don't know, 5th or 6th for income in the United States. So white people are not the rich people. Nigerians, your average Nigerian in the United States makes more than your average white. So tell me if there's this like system. So I guess what I'm also saying is that like this country has become so genuinely diverse. Like when I was a kid, it was black people, white people, some Hispanics, very few Asians, and really no one else. And the black people, their families have been here as long as mine, hundreds of years. I mean, their families were dragged here in colonial times, some of them. So that was a different picture than what we're looking at now. Now we're going to get to a place by the time, if in a couple more decades, where the majority of black people in the United States are not the descendant of American slaves. So then it's like, so do we owe affirmative action to an Eritrean when he arrives on a visa program? I don't think so. So like this whole thing is nuts, actually. So the only solution is to say, slavery is always wrong. Discrimination on the basis of race is always wrong. And so let's stop doing it because it's wrong. It'd be like saying, and they do say it, well, you know, a lot of people who survived the Nazi genocide moved to Israel and their grandchildren, you know, have a right to be upset about that. Okay, got it. But those same people are committing genocide. So it was wrong when it happened to their grandparents. It's wrong when they're doing it because it's just wrong.
Yes.
There are universal principles that if we don't.
Yes, Tucker, yes. Thankfully, somebody in these higher wings of fucking intellect can actually put that in a verbiage that's palatable for the fucking colloquial mind. You know, it's really not that difficult. Bad is bad, good is good. Maybe because we gotten used to the, you know, lesser is lesser evil option in our existence that we can't really comprehend this very, you know, basic level of thought. This shit is established when you're a child, but you see what they do with our children. You see how disconnected they are, how indoctrinated they are, how digitally dependent they are. Bro, they do all this stuff on purpose.
Defend, we will wind up in the world that we left when we started this country, which is the powerful people get to do whatever they want and everyone else has to just deal with it. And I don't want to live in that country.
I agree with you when you say there's universal principles that we should just uphold, and that obviously, you know, there are things that are iniquitous acts that we should absolutely speak against, no matter who it's for or against. Absolutely, I'm totally with you.
Exactly.
The flip side to it, the flip side to it, however, is that one could easily also argue that that lets off the hook those who have benefited and have positioned themselves to be in positions of power and influence, where they can subjugate a vast majority of folks in our society, as we've witnessed people doing for decades upon decades. You can make the argument that they're already at an advantage and they're getting left off the hook by doing exactly what Tucker Carlson suggests, because what you want to do is start with a clean slate and just erase all that has happened. I don't mean literally erase it from the mind's eye.
Dude, literally the country that's controlling us in terms of this war and a bunch of other shit are the ones who are erasing and rewriting history. So the fact he's using this as an active talking point for black people is fucking stupid. It's just fucking stupid. And he's such a shameful person sometimes. Like, get the fucking coonery out of it. See past your fucking skin color. God calls you to deny your flesh. This is why black people are so lost. You're all so damn you're so egomaniacal, so ego driven. It's ridiculous. And he is no different. No matter how much money he has, no matter what status he has or where his position is, he's a very indicative representative of the fucking garbage mindset of some current black folks. It's ridiculous.
Just talking about starting from scratch and going forward, when we can never start from scratch going forward. Tucker Carlson, you know that.
But yeah, I mean, look, this has been going on for over 60 years. I don't think it's actually helped that much. It's made people hate each other, but it's also obscuring the true crisis in the country, which has nothing to do with race and has to do with economics. And the people benefiting from the private equity scams and the crypto scams and all the other scams underway in the American economy. We don't really produce anything. We just lend money at high interest, sell real estate again and again. Those people are getting richer than everyone else, the billionaire class, and they don't want to deal with questions about how exactly this works. Why are they paying half the taxes that you're paying as a wage earner? Like, I don't really get that. And they don't want to have to defend it. So instead, they're like, the real problem is race. And these whites are just bad. And they've taken all the stuff. Well, actually, if you look at the numbers, that's insane. One of the biggest groups of poor people in this country is white. Are they privileged? I don't think they are. So, like, it's not about race. We should treat all American citizens equally. That's the whole point of the civil rights movement. That's the whole point of the Constitution. And we're not, and we should. And then just say, look, it's not about ignoring the crimes of the past, which we should not do. We should never lie about anything. It's just about being honest about what's actually happening. And the real problems stem from the way our tax code is structured. And most people don't even think about it because no one in the media ever talks about it. It's like, really? So if I invest money, I pay half the tax rate as if I go to work. So are we saying that it's twice as virtuous to invest or to get inherited money as it is to have a job? That's what we are saying, because we tax things we want to discourage. That's what
Tucker is making such a fantastic point right now, and I truly hope that people start to understand and peel back the veil. It's not color versus color. It's us versus them. This has been so obvious. And if you do understand that just very basic and unflawed principle, it's time for you to come sign the treaty, be a part of the US Foundation, and join up with your like-minded peoples all across our nation. Back to the vid.
Cigarettes are expensive. So, like, are you really going to say with a straight face that you're like twice as good a person because you inherited money as I am because I go to work every day? Because that's what we're saying.
Right.
And so in a normal country, you just like have a revolution. People are like, I'm not putting up with this. But in our country, because every conversation is controlled by the media filter, we don't even know what's happening. And so people are like, well, my life sucks. It must be the whites, or some whites are like, it must be the blacks or whatever. It's like, this is racial foment. This is racial conflict, which is created by the people who are taking all the money.
Whether anyone agrees or disagrees with you, I think, especially me sitting here talking to you, I really, really appreciate the fact that you're willing to tackle any issue, and I'm thankful for that. So thank you for the conversation. Let me ask you this, just a few more questions before I let you go. I'm thinking about the Nick Fuentes interview, for example, and I wanted to transition a little bit to this because, you know, I'm wondering about where the line is between exposing extremism and normalizing it when you have somebody like him that you had on your show. I remember people were criticizing you. I didn't watch the interview. I saw, you know, clips of it, but I didn't watch the whole interview in its entirety. And I remember people accusing you of being quite soft on him, even though I can't imagine you being that guy, but that's what they were accusing you of. And they were saying stuff like that. But we know some of the things that people have felt he said and some of the positions that he has taken. From a generic perspective, extremism compared to normalization, where does Tucker Carlson draw that line in the sand, particularly considering the position that you're in now and the kind of influence you wield?
I think it's really important not to normalize extremism and to call it out by name and to say, to just frame this correctly, like what you're saying is crazy and extreme. I think it's super important to say that, because otherwise it's like, oh no, this is normal. And I think one of the most extreme human beings I've ever met in my entire life was Lindsey Graham. And I would say maybe the second most extreme I've ever met is Ted Cruz, both U.S. senators. Lindsey Graham, unfortunately, passed away recently. Ted Cruz still represents Texas. These are people who have called for murdering innocents at scale, bombing people who did nothing wrong, killing kids, and have done that for like decades, who have openly called for the U.S. government and American citizens to be more loyal to a foreign country than to their own, who have called for banning Americans' right to criticize a foreign country, eliminating free speech on behalf of a foreign nation. You can criticize your own country, totally fine. You're not allowed to criticize a foreign country. That's so crazy that I can hardly believe it's happening, and nobody says it. So
fuck Israel.
You'll go and you'll interview Lindsey Graham, or I interviewed Ted Cruz last year, and people are like, oh, no one is like, I can't believe you're sitting with that wacko extremist Ted Cruz, who's literally called for murdering people, and by the way, has helped murder people. He's a United States senator. He's not a podcaster. He votes for things. He appropriates money. That guy has blood on his hands, the blood of countless innocents, but it's totally cool to sit with him. How does that work? I don't understand. Not one person has ever said, I can't believe you sat across from Ted Cruz. He's a murderer, which is true. But because we're so
you're calling the senator. You're calling a senator. Hold on, Tucker. These are political officials you have known, just like you've known Trump. You've known a lot of guys on Capitol Hill.
Here comes the sensationalist spin, but he's right. They all are fucking complicit. They're all complicit. All the ones who say yes, who keep the funding going. We're also complicit, we as citizens, because we keep funding the coffers of all these people. So we're all in the wrong. That's why we need to do something about it.
Interviewed a lot of them. You've talked to a lot of them. You used to be on Fox News with your top-rated show at 8 p.m. after you succeeded Bill O'Reilly. You used to talk to these folks all the time. And now here you are on this show. You're calling them a murder. You're calling a guy like Senator Ted Cruz a murderer.
Well, it's true. Ted Cruz is calling for the killing of innocents and funding it.
This guy's trying to get
a viral. What I'm actually calling for is not calling out poor Ted Cruz, who's suffering, is already living in hell. And I'm not even mad at Ted Cruz. I want to awaken people to a real moral framework. So you have people who say ugly things, and great, that happens everywhere. I'm against saying ugly things. I try not to. I try not to do that. But
you just did. That's a very ugly thing to say, Tucker. I mean, to call a senator. It's an ugly thing to say, Tucker.
First of all, I don't. Because he is a senator, it actually matters. It's not ugly. It's a fact. Ted Cruz has called for killing innocents. He's done it to me many, many, many times. We'll just bomb them. Just bomb the whole city. Just blow them up. What? There are people, thousands, millions of people who live there who did nothing wrong. They have no role in this. They have no role in a nuclear program. They're just going to work. They're little kids. That's crazy. That is extremist behavior. And he has the power to make it happen. He's a U.S. senator. So, by the way, we should get back in the media into the habit of criticizing the powerful. I know everyone's upset about some 27-year-old gay kid, Nick Fuentes. Ooh, he says naughty things. Yeah, I agree, whatever. But who cares? What we should care about is when powerful people misuse their power to hurt the innocent. And Ted Cruz is doing that. And so are a lot of other senators. So I'm just waiting for someone to call me and be like, I can't believe you platformed Ted Cruz. I can't believe, how do you live with this? Do you sleep at night? I mean, did you shake his hand? The hand of someone who called for the murder of innocents? I can't believe you can live with yourself. I'm waiting for that moment. It'll never come because everyone's so freaking brainwashed that they think that whatever that little gay kid is the threat.
That was probably one of the realest things I've ever heard Tucker Carlson say. And he's been pretty much honest the whole time, and many times in the past year or so. And my goodness, if that wasn't the hammer hitting the nail on the head and driving it through a fucking plank, I really don't know what is.
I've seen you talking to Megyn Kelly. I've heard Candace Owens' position, and she talked about fearing for her life. Where are you right now? I'm talking about psychologically. Do you find yourself sitting back concerned for your well-being, considering the positions that you've taken and the, dare I say, enemies you may have provoked?
Well, I mean, where am I right now? I'm in a bunker, hundreds of feet.
I don't mean where. I'm not asking where, because I don't want you. I don't want you to tell your location. I don't want you to tell your location. I'm just talking psychologically. I'm saying, where are you right now? Candace Owens has been on the record talking about she thinks they may try to take her out. Who knows what others like Megyn Kelly are thinking? What is your thinking? Where are you right now? In light of the things that you said, the conversations and the dialogues you've provoked, and how you've incited enemies against you.
Well, from my perspective, I told the truth, and some people didn't like it because it was inconvenient to them. But I would say all of us, if you live to a certain age, and you have, I think we're like the same age, you see people you love die, and people who were totally fine one day and they're gone the next, and it's incredibly sad. It's the saddest thing, but it's also a reminder that we're not in charge of our lives. We're not in control. And you think you have forever, you don't. You have a certain time, you can't control that. And so every day, sounds like a bumper sticker, but it's real. Amen. Every day really is a gift. We don't treat it that way. It's just like, oh, it's another day. Amen. No, it's a gift. And we don't know how many days we have left. Not one of us does. It doesn't matter how old or young you are. Not one of us knows how many we have left. And so I've just lived long enough to really believe that, because I've seen it. I mean, Charlie Kirk was sitting at the table I'm sitting at now, not long before he was killed. And then he's gone. Never thought that would happen. I still feel so sad about it, as I do for all the people I've lost over the years. I'm sure you feel the same way. So the idea that like, oh, I'm in under threat. Well, we're all under threat all the time because we don't know what the future is. So just like, stop worrying about that. You can't control it. I really believe this. Stop worrying all the time about stuff you can't control. A lot of what Commander Wolf said in focus as intently as you can on loving the people around you, telling the truth, trying to do the right thing, knowing you're going to make a ton of mistakes doing it. Like that's the business of life, I think.
Tucker, the word love comes associated with hope in the eyes of a lot of people. And you've used that word a lot in this conversation that you and I have just had. I'm wondering, when we think about hope, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Is there some hope? When I look at the Democratic Party, I look at Governor Josh Shapiro out of Pennsylvania. I look at Governor Wes Moore out of Maryland. I see Governor Gavin Newsom out of California trying to gain traction. We've heard about Beshear out of Kentucky. We know Rubio and Vance are in the mix with the GOP. We've seen Governor DeSantis and his leadership in Florida, even though I might have a couple of issues with him. Where are you in terms of candidates that exist on either side of the aisle? Is there a ray of hope anywhere that you see it based on what you've observed over the last 18 months or so?
Do it, Tucker.
Boy, I mean, it's just Waltz of the Pygmies. As you were reading those names, I know a lot of those guys. I just had this image in my mind of the Wizard of Oz and all the dwarves, like we represent the Lollipop Guild. Like it's such a collection of mediocrities. I'm sure they're not all bad people. I'm guessing, but I'm sure they're not, but none of those people is going to save this country or make your life better. I mean, honestly, let's be real. I'm not sure that there are political solutions right now. We could have better politics, people who care about us. But the truth is our problems are really significant, but it doesn't mean that our lives have to be barren or bleak. because really your life is not about who's in office. This is what I've learned recently. I've thought a lot of this recently because I was so disappointed in Trump, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what do we do? And it's like, I don't know, love your wife more, be kinder to the people who work for you, give 100% tip at dinner. I mean, I don't know, like, you don't have to wait for some savior to come and make everything perfect, because like Josh Shapiro or DeSantis, I mean, come on, these guys, I'm not saying they're evil or anything, I'm sure they're fine, but like, they have no freaking idea what they're doing. They have no power. The president doesn't have as much power as we thought. That's another thing I learned. He can't fix all these problems. He doesn't have, he can't even decide not to invade Iran.
Well, then why the hell do you want me or somebody else to run for office? I mean, what hope would we have based on what
you would have no hope, but how hilarious would that be? Stephen A. Smith, ladies and gentlemen, go Stephen A. Smith. And you'd be like,
yeah,
you know, I think it'd be funny.
I couldn't get anything done. I'd lose my damn mind dealing with them on Capitol Hill. I couldn't get anything done.
But we don't have to wait for that. I guess that's the point. I mean, I've really had to brood on this recently because I convinced myself that Trump was really going to make a huge difference. And by the way, it didn't have to be this bad. Obviously, it was his fault. But he was never going to fix all the problems, because that's kind of not how it works. Like, the president doesn't have the power to do that. I don't have to wait for the perfect guy or even a great guy to get elected to make my own life better, to make the lives of people around me better.
Yes.
And I shouldn't wait. And I shouldn't also think that my happiness, is dependent on who's in the White House. Like, it's just not true. It's like part of the op, actually. You know, you can create beautiful things in a beautiful life and love other people, no matter who is. I mean, there are happy people in North Korea. I'm sorry. I've been there. It's true.
Very last question. Is that something you've always known, or is it something you've learned since you departed from Fox News, since you built your own company, since you're doing what you're doing now?
I mean, I've learned it. I mean, if you'd asked me 30 years ago, do I think any man can save humanity? No. I mean, I've never really believed it, but I've sort of talked myself into it. Look, you spend enough time around politics, you've had this experience, and you're like, it's so important that so-and-so win, or more commonly, it's so important that person lose. Like, Kamala Harris is going to destroy everything. And like, I wouldn't vote for Kamala Harris. She's kind of a joke, but that's not really true. She's not going to like destroy the love between me and my wife. You know what I mean? Like, there are some things that just politics doesn't touch and will never touch. And those things, like what happens after you die, I don't think Donald Trump is in charge of that. And so the tragedy of this war and the sadness and the betrayal and the shock that I felt being close to it and close to Trump was an occasion for me to think through some of these things and like be honest with myself. Like, I think I was putting a little bit too much on Trump. Did I really think that electing Trump over Kamala was going to make all the difference forever? Like, if I thought that, I'm an idiot. I mean, it'd probably be better, I guess, but it's not. If I think that's like salvation, that's on me.
Tucker Carlson, appreciate the time, man. Gave me a lot of time. Thank you so much. I owe you.
Well,
I owe you an interview.
Dude, I'm going to see you on the debate stage. I'll be in the front with the press badge cheering you on. Good luck.
You just listen. Nobody is.
Goodness gracious. Oh my gosh. So, all in all, that was a good talk. That was a very good sit down between the two on mostly Tucker's side. Honestly, I think Stephen A. Smith is a fucking baboon, and I'm not saying that in a racially charged manner. I think he's a dumbass. I think he's a bozo, and sometimes he might come off as being well-spoken and, you know, eloquent in his word usage, but so did Obama, and he was a fucking ingrate. So, yeah, at the end of the day, when they want to get things done, the uniparty will always band together and start busting off. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. But thank you very much for watching the video. If you came to watch, after the stream was posted, thank you for the couple people who popped in during the live. I truly appreciate your time. Let's see. Is there anything else I want to pop up? No, not really. I appreciate you one more time again. Go with God. Remember, Christ is King, and Jesus will always love you. And I will catch you guys on my next outing. Peace, love,